Hi, it's Jerry the King Lawler, and you're tuned in to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I don't know why you are, but you are.
Amazing, says some guy. These men have changed broadcasting forever. The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show.
Did you hear Roman Reigns? Yaki-ka, huh? You get it, Kev?
Oh, yeah, just, I can't afford Skype. The baseball analogy.
Yeah, Kev, I just think with Yaki-ka, I don't speak Japan, and you f***ing people.
Oh, yeah, just, you, DT.
What do you think about that, Kev?
Oh, well, Batista's pretty f***ing sexy, and, did I mention Roman Reigns gives me a boner? And, 1980s baseball and wrestling was better than anything else.
DonTony.com.
Not tonight. What's up, everyone? It is Monday night, July 13th. I had to make sure I didn't have the microphone muted like I did on Friday. This is the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don Tony, as always, and join along with me is...
Kev Castle. What's up, DT?
We just got a, what was this, the grudge match version of Raw? I guess that's just another term for, the same shit, but we'll just put it different, It's almost like when, you ever go to a diner and they offer you like, oh, you want to hear today's specials? And then they tell you the specials, and then when you open the menu up and you look like in the entree section, it's the same fucking things. But, I don't really recall the Kabuki Warriors as a tag team really ever going up against Bayley and Sasha Banks as a tag team. But I think we all knew what the outcome was going to be, and Bayley and Sasha Banks retain.
Yeah, no, I got to be honest. We'll go through the typical, start to finish card like we do when we do our recap. But the ladies saved the show for me tonight. It was all about the women from the last match, which I thought was great. Bianca Belair returns, Shayna Baszler returns. So it was kind of, to me, the women saved the show for me tonight.
Well, we have, and I mentioned it Friday, but, no reason why we can't mention it again. This is the 5-year anniversary of, I know everybody calls it the Women's Revolution, but for me, I call it the 5-year anniversary of the Four Horsewomen, basically taking over the main roster. And I know people out there, especially those in NXT, get offended when you say main roster because NXT doesn't want to feel like they're minor leagues. But the fact of the matter is, if all of the leagues, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, were on even playing field, then why is it, they went to Raw. They were still part of WWE. Everybody celebrates the anniversary of Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte coming to the main roster. There's no other way to put it. Bayley was brought in separately, but for me, it's the 5-year anniversary of the Four Horsewomen invading Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. Yeah, so you think tonight that's why they main event, this kind of main event they had, and they gave it a half hour, they gave it a lot of time and everything.
Well,
like
it really wasn't. It was more like 15 minutes.
Well, what I'm saying. They started it at 10:30, but we'll come
but by the time the match started, it was almost 10:45. So look, they have main evented a lot of Raws and SmackDowns, and Sasha, main event at NXT. So their main eventing is nothing new. My question is, where do you go from here as far as the Kabuki Warriors? I know a lot of people, including us, have talked about Kairi Sane numerous times before, but, when you really think about it, whether Asuka retains or Asuka loses, you really don't feel like the Kabuki Warriors are in the title picture as a tag team. I hate to say it. They arguably are the most talented tag team on the roster right now. But I'm just, it was a fun match, but I just don't know where it goes from here.
Well, I guess it depends on if Kairi's saying, do we even know what her status is? Is she going back to Japan?
Well, not yet.
Is she staying? We don't really know, right?
If everybody follows the websites, she was done, then she's not done, and then she's
I don't follow the websites. I'm actually counting on you.
I mean, look, nobody knows.
I'm counting on you to give me the truth.
Nobody knows. I mean, at the end of the day, what's in Kairi Sane's heart is really, that she is the one that's going to dictate, and WWE as well. But, people out there are guessing. I mean, that's really the only way to put it. Look at Shayna Baszler. Last week on this show, we talked about Ruby Riott losing again, and I remember this show saying, everybody, don't worry about it. The losing streak is about to end. Check. Shayna Baszler. I know, they haven't done anything since she ran into the orange wall, but she'll be back shortly. Check. So, I think people out there, because the product feels so lackluster, that everything is under a microscope. Everybody's under a microscope. It doesn't matter who comes out there. Even Bianca Belair today, it was refreshing, but 5 minutes after that tag team match was over, it's like, people are saying, well, they're not going to be a makeshift team, and where does that leave Liv Morgan? And Liv Morgan should be out there instead, and Bianca Belair, really, how is she being used right now? And she really shouldn't be in a tag team, and she should be the number one woman. I mean, people are just frustrated. I mean, the funny thing about it is, and I brought this up Friday, the Friday before, July 3rd, it was the lowest rated SmackDown since they've been on Fox. And people are like, hey, it's the day before 4th of July. COVID, where we really can't go out to the movies. We can't go to bars. We can't go to restaurants. You can't go to clubs. You can't hang out. Can't go to coffee shops. So, what's the excuse? So now we're 1 week later, and now it's the second lowest SmackDown and the second lowest Raw in the history of the so it's an excuse every week. But the funny thing about it is, you got baseball coming back, and they play on Fridays. You have basketball coming back, and they play on Fridays. You have hockey coming back. They play on Fridays. I don't know about NFL, but the point is, if these ratings are so shangada right now, you imagine when Friday comes around and, people are so craving for sports, these ratings are going to go in record. And Mondays as well. Mondays is Monday Night Football. So, I'm really curious. I'll give Ryan Satin credit. This is the third time I'm saying it in 4 days. But, if everybody out there that is obsessed talking about demographics with AEW and NXT, Ryan Satin points out that a majority of the people doing that, for some reason, don't ever bring up demos when it comes to Mondays and Fridays.
No, that's true.
Why not? Why not?
That is true. DT, you think, though, the ratings will get worse because maybe it's just baseball fans, basketball fans, and other sports fans waiting for their sport to start? They aren't necessarily watching wrestling or not watching wrestling. I think it'll just pretty much stay the same, or wrestling will be affected by the start of. I'm not saying that wrestling fans aren't baseball fans too, but again, you think it'll be that much of a dip, or it's probably pretty much going to stay the way it is?
There's going to be a dip because right now you have people tuning into wrestling because there really is not much more of an alternative, and a lot of people are sick of politics, including yours truly. So now when you have, you know what I compare it to? I compare it to someone who has basic cable. And you only have a small number of channels, and you keep, changing those channels, and you keep watching the same networks over and over again because you don't have too much of a choice. But then starting 2 weeks from this Friday, you go from 20 channels to 150. So now, you may still want to tune into what you normally watch, but now you realize, hey, I could watch this, I could watch this, I could watch this, I could watch this, I could watch that, I could watch that. There's definitely going to be an effect. Absolutely. And the big question is, What does WWE do about that? Do we get somebody's eyeball ripped out every week on TV? I mean, that's what WWE gets paid for. You and I don't get paid from WWE or NXT or AEW or anyone else out there, you know. So they're the ones that have to come up with, you know, reasons for people to choose to watch them, you know, than something else. You know, I mean, I remember going back to my hotline in the 90s. And when the ratings started to go shangada, especially after WCW went out of business, you know, I brought up, wait a minute, wrestling used to get 8s, 9s, and 10s combined in their peak. You know, now it's half the viewership in only a couple of years. That just shows you that, you know, we had sports during the late 90s. We had, you know, news and politics and tragedies and this and that. It's just... and I've been saying this for 20 plus years, fans decide to watch something else instead of your product. That's what it comes down to. Pro wrestling as a whole is no longer the first choice for fans out there. You know, you could take Hulu, you could take YouTube, you could take everywhere you want to take. But the fact of the matter is, the most advertising revenue is when it streams first run. And it's not must-see TV anymore. Pro wrestling's not must-see TV anymore.
No, it hasn't been for a long time.
No. Wednesday, to me, is the closest. Wednesday's the closest because there's two options. And, you know, it's nice to have two options that if one is kind of shangada, you could go to the other one, and hopefully the other one is not shangada at the same time, and you go back and forth.
Well, it just amazes me. I mean, when you've talked about this on your show, your other shows too, and other podcasters, how many people do not watch the product and just listen to us recap, and they're like, oh, I don't watch the show. I just listen to you guys recap it, so that's how I kind of keep up to what's going on. But I don't watch it at all anymore. It's a big portion. It's a portion of our audience, a portion of a lot of other podcasters' audience. So I always found it amazing. So are we that good, or they still love wrestling and where their connection to it? Why do you think that is?
You know what the problem is?
What?
I'll use Meltzer for an example. You know, if anybody out there goes to Meltzer's site, and a ton of websites out there, they post the results from Monday Night Raw. If you miss an episode of Monday Night Raw and you read the results that are posted on the wrestling websites in real time, by the time the show is over, you could close your eyes and you'll actually feel like you watched the show. Like, it's no longer where you have spoilers like, oh, I got to check this out, I got to check this out. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens' match was great. But really, was there anything about that match that somebody could type as far as explaining what went down that would make you tune in the channel and check it out? You know, if somebody made a run-in, somebody made a return, somebody did this, somebody did something outrageous, blah, 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 you know, then you want to maybe check it out. But you could get away with just reading someone's detailed results, and by the time you're done reading it, you could literally tell your friends the next day, yeah, did you see Raw last night? I watched it. Yeah, it really wasn't all that great. You know, the Seth Rollins-Kevin Owens match was great, and so was the main event, but we kind of knew that it was going to end in kind of like shadiness, you know? You could get away with that.
I agree with you, but it's interesting to get acclimated to the fact that people on YouTube and people on our Discord and stuff will say, yeah, I didn't even watch it tonight. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it in weeks. I don't watch it. And it's not just like a little trend to do. People are like, no, seriously, I just listen to podcasts, listen to recaps. I read the cliff notes of the results, like you said. But it's kind of the thing that's going on now. But it used to not be like that. As many years as we're doing this, DT, even during down periods, and we've been through a few of them, more than ever now, it seems like people are just not watching, but they're paying attention in another form, that being podcasting. Good for us. I mean, good for us, but not good for the WWE.
Yeah. Speaking of Kabuki Warriors, I posted a little teaser on Twitter, and I definitely advise anyone out there who wants a chance to win this autographed Kabuki Warriors photo tonight. There's a keyword, a magic word on my Twitter, and you have to, later on, when I say, all right, let's do the contest, the first person that wants this photo, that types in the keyword on YouTube, will get this photo. And starting this week, from now on, every week a prize is going to be given away live on the shows. We'll do a magic word every week, and we'll give something out every week. Be signed photos, signed cards, maybe a memorabilia thing. It's not going to be any cheap shit. No offense to the FBI, but I went through my box the other day. I don't think anybody wants a signed Chuck Palumbo photo, unless Chuck Palumbo went on a shooting spree and, was in jail, and now it's a rare thing to get his autograph. But, I got Sting, I got Edge, I got Legends, I have tons and tons of stuff. So, yeah, so later on during the show, gonna just say, let's do the contest. First person that posts that keyword gets the photo. And the rules are simple, as I explained, and I also want to stress this too. I don't care if you live 5 blocks from me or 5 million miles away. If it can be shipped, it will be shipped. All right. I had people win contests that live in Abu Dhabi. Go Google that and see how difficult it is to ship to anybody. This is open for anybody out there. So, but anyway, you want to talk about Tammy Sytch first, or you want to talk a little bit about Raw? You want to talk a little bit about news? I'll give it you the choice.
I saw your post and I heard about it, but you can enlighten me a little bit more because me and you didn't talk at all today, so okay. I don't know what you're going to say.
All right.
Let's go with Tammy Sytch first.
All right. Well, just for everybody out there, who wants to get a little chuckle, this is another example of what I've been saying for over 20 years now. All the, I've brought up in the past, and I don't care for credit for breaking stuff or being the first to post stuff. But you watch wrestling sites, baseball sites, news sites, when someone posts something for the first time and it ends up being true, you'll always see somebody put in parentheses, blah, blah, blah. John Heyman posted first, blah, blah, blah. They always do that. For 20 plus years. And it's my fault too, because of always goofing on Wade Keller and Mike Johnson and all these other losers out there. But, I've always used the example. Imagine if CBS hated NBC. And there's like a big 5-alarm fire where people die and this and that, and the streets are blocked off, and only NBC could get to the fire and is airing it and covering it. Now, is CBS going to ignore that story because NBC is the only one that is covering it right now, or the first person? No, they suck it up and they post it anyway. So I got a kick out of this today. And I know, look, I'm not trying to compare the two, but I always remember how people thought like it was so creepy that a Wikipedia post popped up before it was revealed that Nancy was killed by Chris Benoit and all that tragedy. So all the news sites today were reporting that PW Insider broke the story that Tammy Sytch was arrested today at 4:42 p.m. It was 4. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. 4:42 p.m. All the websites, 4:42 p.m. And as I'm looking at all these websites doing this, I'm kind of having a chuckle, because somehow 10 minutes before Tammy Sytch was arrested, and this was about 45 minutes after I was talking to one of Tammy Sytch's friends, I put up something on Twitter before she was arrested. It was just funny because everybody went out of their way. Meltzer, everybody else, 4:42 p.m. But meanwhile, I was tweeting about this earlier, so I got a kick out of that. But here's the thing. I want to stress, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but I want to stress one thing more than anything else. When I posted this earlier, as people could read my tweet right now, I said, and I quote for people that are only checking out audio, I wrote, just talked to a good friend of Tammy Sytch who let me know she's back in jail, violated terms of probation, violated a restraining order, drove under suspension, tried to evade police. Continued prayers and support that she ultimately turns her life around. All right? That's what I wrote. I did not tell anybody out there to pray for her, to shit on her. I'm not trying to get people to like her or dislike her. I just posted out there what happened. And, you know, the only thing that I made a follow-up comment about later on was, you know, for some people out there who are going to suddenly profess their moral high ground with everything, you know, they should make sure that their closets are skeleton-free. And I know people out there like, oh, it's not about skeleton. She's a piece of shit. She's horrible shit. Look, if you don't like her and you don't give a shit about her and you despise her, there was no reason to, like, keep writing about her over and over again. To me, it feels like some people out there want to take the knife and twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it. You know, if you don't like her and you feel it's karma or anything else, and then, you know, you write, good, she let her rot in hell and this and that. Well, guess what? You know, what does that make you? You know, so I was not telling anybody to feel one way or the other. I was just posting what happened. Now, I ask everybody out there that has followed the websites today about this and saw what I wrote today, you know, because everybody came to a conclusion. Does anybody out there actually know what happened? Does anybody actually know? I mean, I know everybody knows the charges, but do you know what she did that led to those charges? Does anybody know? Or are you just reading from a police jail website of what the charges are and you're filling your own conclusion? Does anybody out there, YouTube, I ask you, do you have any idea what this woman did? And I'm not sticking up for her right now, because I'm going to actually criticize her in a moment. But does anybody out there actually know what she did? No, nobody knows. No, nobody knows. So I'm going to tell everybody, all right, because I got this firsthand. You know, I have friends that are very close friends with her. And I ask you this, Kev, and I don't, listen, I'm going to criticize her in a minute. But I ask you this just out of honesty, and I ask everybody tuning in live, you know, you don't have to answer, you just think to yourself, but I say this, okay?
Right.
Have you ever had a family member or a friend who just keeps fucking up? And the person gets chance after chance after chance, and they keep just ruining that chance. Now, have you ever had a friend or a family member that just kept fucking up repeatedly?
Don Tony, I manage rock and hardcore bands. The answer is yes, every single year. I go through a band member change, just went through one now. Yeah, and chance after chance, because their talents were so good, we gave them chance. But then the big picture was touring on the road. If they get in trouble here, they can get in trouble out of state.
No, well, I don't mean business. I'm talking about family or friends.
Well, yeah, and their family and friends. I have them in my house. I consider them like my sons, my nephews. I mean, of course. And just for the record, I don't know if you noticed, and me, I comment on everything. I said nothing about the Tammy Sytch thing because I was waiting to hear what you knew before I opened my big mouth. I said not a word about it.
No. Look, I didn't criticize anybody.
No, I'm not saying about me, but usually you'll see me, I'll chime in with some even little ha-ha, but I didn't think it was, I kind of felt like, oh my God, again, like, and then when I saw that you had some news on it, I'm like, you know what, let me wait to even say anything until I hear what DT says tonight. So I was waiting like everybody else. So that's why I want to hear what you have to say about why it happened.
Let me ask you this. For your friends or family that you know someone who has been given chance after chance and a chance, and they keep fucking it up, keep getting into legal troubles, keep putting their foot in their mouth, keep just fucking up. Do you abandon those people?
No, I mean, I usually try. Actually, what happens is sometimes they have to take a step back from the band or from their situation, the job, or, you know, you let them go, and then they clean their act up. You see them down the road, and then you can maybe give them another chance. Much like wrestling. The music industry is like wrestling. You can see them down the road. When they get themselves back together, they get another chance, see how they're doing, check in on them. I'm always like, I don't like to abandon anybody because I wouldn't want that done to me. And Lord knows, we all have our own problems. I may not have a alcohol or drug problem, but we all have other different problems that we have. So I think it's to be judgmental. You're right, DT. Your closets have to be super clean. I haven't met a saint yet in the wrestling industry or in the rock club industry. I haven't met any saints. Met a lot of sinners, but I haven't met a lot of sinners who their sins haven't been revealed. But other people who get outed and then people pounce on them. I don't like doing that. So again, I'm not a big fan of Sunny, but I feel more bad for her this time. That's why I kept quiet. And I don't want to see. And you know what the end results are, DT. When you do, everybody abandons someone who is really problematic. It's the end. It's over. What are they going to turn to if they have nowhere to turn to? it's going to be a bad result. Nobody wants to see anybody end themselves like that. It's a waste of a life, a tragic tale, and it can happen to any of us. Anybody sitting pretty right now, it could all be taken away. COVID has ruined many a good man and woman I know, their businesses and everything. So I am count my blessings that I have a roof over my head and I still have friends and family in my life. So again, I'm being very cautious about not saying shit about anybody who's in a bad way right now. I don't want the karma. You know what I mean? I don't want karma.
I'll say this: we've all had friends or family that have fucked up repeatedly. My best friend is 6 feet underground right now because he just had so many chances to come clean. You know, he went into a hospital and got very, very sick, and that supposedly scared him straight, and he started doing crack when he got out. You know, I mean, the reason why I say this is because I have few people who are close friends with Tammy Sytch outside in the wrestling world. I have said this many times in the past. I don't say it to brag. I just say it because I've been in and around wrestling for 22 years, you know, outside looking in for the most part, but you get to be friends with people. There's people I'm friendly with that are on television right now that I have never made public, you know, who they are, because, you know, it just comes off campy, and, you know, you talk about stuff in real life. So the reason why I say that is I've seen the Tammy dopey ass comments about, you know, white power and this and that.
Yeah.
She definitely, you know, puts her foot in her mouth. She gets trolled, and she tries to troll the trolls, and unfortunately for her, and I'm not making excuses for it, some of the things that she said is absolutely repulsive. And when that happens, I don't immediately jump on social media and try to nail her to the cross. I basically just nod my head and like, you know, man, I just, you know, you got things so good right now. She's banking crazy money on OnlyFans, and she's got herself in great sunny shape. And, you know, yes, she's getting older, but, you know, you're just like, man, you know, you just, why, you know, but that's the extent I go. And I could tell everybody out there, I'll quit all my shows now if I'm lying, that the person that I talked to the most today about Tammy, who is very good friends with her, was crying. And she was crying because she's good friends with Tammy for a very long time, and she doesn't want to see her friend end up 6 feet under the ground. You know, whether it's alcohol or drugs or, you know, just ruining herself in jail, and there's depression, there's other things. There are people out there that actually are friends with her. And I know social media, for people out there, you see one side and you get angry at that side. But again, if you ever had a close friend or a relative out there who is repeatedly fucked up that you know is you know, a decent person, but just, you know, just flips off on the mouth really just ignorantly, you know, and then you have everybody else saying, that guy, I don't care if he's friends with you, your cousin, he should fucking rot in jail and this and that. You probably want to just knock some of those people out. So there are a lot of people out there that care about her. So that's the reason why I say, with all due respect for people out there, if you don't care about her, you know, look the other way. There's been so many rappers and so many politicians and so many entertainers and so many musicians and so many actors and actresses that have fucked up royally that I cannot stand. You know, and when they fuck up and they get arrested or they get in trouble, I don't run to Twitter and gloat and say, good, rotten hell, die, this and that. You know, I don't give a shit about the person. So, you know, I tune away. So that's what I say. You know, if you're going to criticize her, by all means do so. If that's how you feel and you want to express it, but just keep in mind that there are people out there that actually do care about her, that know a side of her that maybe you don't. But I'll tell everybody a little bit as far as what went down that you don't know about. And that's why, like I said, when I put this online, I knew nobody was going to give me any play on it. And they were just reloading They were reloading the fucking the jail site, reloading, because there's one particular website for the whole state of New Jersey. You type in her name and you reload until boom, it pops up as a result, and then they try to write it as breaking news. All right. So everybody out there, if you saw the websites she was charged with, and let me put it up over here. I said it on the tweet earlier. Contempt, violating domestic violence restraining order, operating a motor vehicle under a second license suspension. And the funny thing is there's 2 counts of the same exact thing, but they're not the same exact thing. One actually leads to the other. But again, people out there are just reading from a jail website and they think they broke a story. And you eluding police officer. All right, here's what it comes down to. For the people that want to know this story. Ever been in a relationship, Kev, where you have a bad breakup, but you still want to try to make amends and you want to try to work things out and you really, really care and you still keep trying to get in touch with the person and that person just does not want anything to do with you anymore, to the point where the person gets a restraining order on you? I'm not saying anybody ever got a restraining order on you, but, you know, that's what happens. You know, you have bad relationships that, you know, become almost toxic. And what happened is that when she was in jail last time and she had everybody knows the past stories with her and her ex-boyfriend, he put a restraining order on her. He didn't want her anywhere near her. Don't call, don't do nothing. And she tried to get in contact with him. So he called the police. She got, like, angry and livid that, can you believe this guy, you know, I just tried to call him and he called the police on me. You call the police when you're on probation and you have an order of protection and these other things, you know, that's almost an immediate ticket right back to jail. So this guy, and I'm not criticizing him in any way, shape, or form, but the reason why I'm telling everybody the story right here, right now, is because everybody read the website, the jail site, and they came to their own conclusion. This was a simple case that she was trying to get in touch with her ex, and she would not let up. He fucking called the cops. The cops, you know, went to take her, and she tried to, you know, avoid arrest.
DT, was that young wrestler dude that you dated?
Well, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say who it is.
Was it a wrestler? Or
I'm not going to say who it is because the person I talked to today asked me, is like, please, we don't want to get any attention on a particular person. There's a couple of people that, you know, that names are floating around. I'm not going to say who the person is. But I'll say this.
But she never tried to contact them before this?
No, there was, but, you know, apparently the guy just felt he had no other choice but to call the police this time around. And knowing what would happen to her. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, look,
that's unfortunate. Yeah.
I never had a restraining order on anybody.
Yeah, I never had.
You know, but, you know, when you put a restraining order on someone, you know, you really don't want that person around anymore. And look, I have told this story before. And I'll tell it again right now very, very quickly. You know, I was married in 1999. I got the marriage annulled about 6 months later. It's off my books. You know, it's like I'm never married. I had to make a big donation to the church, blah, blah, blah. When we had this bitter, bad breakup, I got very depressed. I kept calling my ex at a job, come on, let's talk, let's work this out. We just got married, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going to say everything else that happened. The next day, my mother calls me up, and she says to me, she says, you have to call this precinct in Long Island, police department. And I called them up, and they said that you have to turn yourself in. And I said, for what? And they said that I threatened to kill her over the telephone. And I said to the police, I said, I never did such a thing. Now, she used to work for credit counseling services, and they monitored and recorded all the calls. So my calls that were made to her office were all recorded. Now, the end result was that the police heard the calls, did not hear any threats whatsoever, and I never got charged. But the thing was that they weren't going to stop what they were doing and ask credit counseling to pull the tapes and let them hear it. This is 1999, 2000. So anyway, I drove to Woodmere. I turned myself in. I had to spend the night in jail. The next morning, they got the footage. I didn't do anything, but she still went ahead and got a restraining order against me. And I found out later on was that when I was annoying the shit out of her at work, trying to work things out, she was calling her hick fucking mother that lives in a trailer park, that piece of shit, and she was complaining to her mother, he won't leave me alone. Her mother said to her, just call the police, say he threatened to kill you. You'll get an immediate order of protection. That even if she doesn't want to press charges, like she didn't know that I was going to get arrested, but she thought immediate order of protection. I can't call the job anymore, and I'm out of her hair. So, order of protection is something serious. Even though you see these ID stories where somebody gets an order of protection and the person still stalks her or him. So the bottom line is that she tried to get in touch with her ex and kept it up and kept it up and kept it up, and he got sick of it and called the cops. So the cops tried to arrest her. She did not want to be arrested, and something happened to her car. I'm not going to say what it was. We'll let the detectives out there in the news world try to figure that one out. And she's in jail right now. The one thing that, thank God, even though she was tested today at the jail as far as if she was DWI, but it appears right now that there was no alcohol involved, and that's a big deal because her repeated arrests were DWI, driving under the influence. So this time around, it does not appear that there was alcohol involved. Of course, that could change. I wasn't in the car with her, but the point is that, she's in jail right now because of her trying to get in touch with her ex. That's it. And I'm not sticking up for her, but I said this to somebody privately earlier, and the only thing that I could come up with is this. She's out of jail since early this year. She's making 6 figures on OnlyFans. She's got all his attention. Sure, she's got haters too. And yet, even with all of this, you risk it by calling an ex. Unfortunately, there are relationships out there that is like matches to gasoline. And this apparently, I don't want to compare it to other relationships out there, but, some people might remember a certain female with the initials MM and another guy, and, they see that relationship and people feel it's like light matches to gasoline. Unfortunately, a lot of relationships become toxic. But, the only conclusion that I could come to this, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, and I'm not defending her. The stuff that she has said online, I don't blame people out there for not, wanting to give her a chance or this and that. She's burned a lot of bridges and she's got to own up to it. I think, if she's in jail and she has to stay there for a while, it's tough love. That some of her friends really didn't want to, because they're always there like, come on, you're a better person than that. We love you, we care about you, this and that. But now they're like, you know what, maybe we got to just look the other way and make her feel like she hit rock bottom and nobody is there for her this time around. And maybe it'll finally get to her that, she's got to, stop this shit. But what I feel is coming across, and this has nothing to do with the tweets and the shit that she has written, but this comes across to me as someone who is extreme. People might think this is crazy, but it comes across as someone who needs to be loved. And when I mean needs to be loved, needs to feel loved. And I think the OnlyFans thing, sure, it's a money thing also, but to have all these people, wrapped around her, that feels good here and here. and she is still trying to get with this guy, and the guy doesn't want anything to do with her. I think at the end of the day, no matter how much money, you ever hear the saying, money doesn't buy you love? I think this woman, I think her number one problem is that she feels extremely lonely. And I think because of that, you get lonely, you get depressed, and it makes you just do things. And, you know, unfortunately, I can't relate because I don't get myself in trouble like that. But, you know, that's why I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her. When I see and talk to some of her friends and really, you know, get into a side of her that nobody knows of, it's not my place to bring that side out there. But it goes back to what I said before. We all have come across good friends and family that have done things, you know, I'm not saying murder or anything like that, but have done things and been given new leashes on life and chance after chance after chance after chance. And you look at it and you say, I would never get that many chances. And they still keep fucking up. It's a downward spiral, and I just hope this doesn't end in a massive tragedy.
Well, I think, again, you know, it's up to the person who's, you know, you got to be able to stop yourself. I mean, it's about, you know, self-responsibility. And again, I think you're right, DT. I think it's like the loneliness thing, the loneliness factor. It's as popular and as famous as you are, you could be the loneliest person in the room. You hear about celebrities and ball players and stuff talk like that all the time. I got a lot of fans, but I have very few real friends. It's a real thing. You give all boo-hoo for these people who are famous, who make money. Again, you know, either you're a sympathetic person, you have, you know, you have some compassion for people, or you don't. It doesn't make you like, you know, the cooler person in the room, because you could be like, oh, fuck him, fuck her. Again, it all comes back on you. I truly believe that any person can be taken down a notch at any time. Because no one, as you said, DT, you know, no one's got that, you know, super clean closet. You know, again, and we're not just talking about like simple little infractions, little, you know, motor vehicle infractions, or you had a night where you drank too much and you got pulled over. It happened. You made a mistake. Everyone's entitled to that. You know, you might have done this or that, or you said something in a drunken state. You uttered some words you didn't mean to do. You can't be condemned for life for it, but it's true. Sometimes people are their own worst enemy, and they just don't know how to get out of their own way. They don't know how to get out of trouble. I know a ton of people like that in the music business. It's usually fueled by alcohol or drugs, but there's some people who just have that, you know, that personality, that type of personality where they're just hair trigger. Somebody says the wrong thing to them, they let the expletives fly, and they don't give a shit who gets offended. And then they get themselves in trouble. And today you got to kind of watch your P's and Q's. And there are always people looking to take you down regardless. I mean, you could do the most, you know, by other people's standards, you look at that, that's not so bad. Oh, yes, it is, you know, cancel culture. And I think there are people who want to see that happen to Sonny. I don't know why. I don't know what Sonny personally did to them. I'm not a big fan myself, but I don't want to see anything happen to her. And if she's making money at OnlyFans, let her, good for her. I always said many times on this show, I don't care if you're a stripper, car service driver, maitre d', I don't care if you're a fucking numbers runner, a bookmaker, I don't care what you do. As long as you're not killing anybody or dealing drugs, make a buck. I don't care what you do. If she's still got some looks and there are guys who want to see her, and, you know, I don't think they're even suckers. They're fans. Listen, you know, do what you got to do to make money. I have no problem with that. But again, I think people, she did say some things, some offensive things, some racial things. And I think that's the last impression, DT. A lot of even people who listen to this show right now heard of her. So they're probably saying, Kev, Don Tony, didn't you see what she wrote during the, you know, the protests and everything? Yes, I did. DT did. I saw it too. I know no one's got to school me on it. I saw it. It was crazy, but she was giving it as good as she was getting it. And, but I still, that doesn't mean that bad things should happen to her and go away and, you know, in hell. That's the situation there. Can she get out on bail? What's going to happen to her, you think? You guys hear me? I can't hear Don Tony. You hear me, Sean? I don't hear DT.
Oh, you know, I must have hit mute.
I hear you now.
Yeah, how long was I muted?
15 seconds.
Oh, okay. All right. No, what I was saying is that maybe it was good that I was muted, but she's going to be arraigned tomorrow.
Did you hear what I said? I asked if she was, what's her situation?
Yeah, she's going to be arraigned tomorrow. She's going in front of the judge tomorrow. There's a possibility that they may send her to Pennsylvania because her residence is Pennsylvania.
Right.
And she is not supposed to leave Pennsylvania. So I don't even think, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that she was not supposed to be out of Pennsylvania. Maybe that was part of her terms, conditions of her early release, but there is a possibility that they may send her to Pennsylvania. Like I said, the fact that she would just not pull over for the cops originally, that's probably her worst, thing that she did. I mean, there's other things too. She shouldn't have been driving under suspension for the second time because now her license is fucked for the foreseeable future, and there's some big fines attached to it. But like I said, hopefully there was no alcohol involved. We'll see if any added charges go to that, but. Like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody out there how to feel about this. You hate her, you hate her. You want to show sympathy, you show sympathy. I feel that everybody at some point, deserves a chance of redemption. After a while, you get fed up and you're like, nah, I just can't anymore. That's it. Too many times. Okay, fine. My style is to just turn the other way. Look, just walk the other way. The idea of, somebody pisses you off is some outrageous or some moronically stupid comments made online. Yeah, if that person gets into legal trouble, you probably put your smile on your face and see, good, karma. But to actually just write it and write it and write it and write it, and sticking the dagger and twisting it. And, my style is, okay, that's it. I pay no more attention, no more support, no more nothing. That's how I roll. But I'm not going to tell anybody out there how they should roll or not. All I'm saying is at the end of this is I say a prayer for her. Hopefully this is now rock bottom. Some of her friends feel absolutely guilty by, just not trying to pick her up this time around. That's tough love. And I think in the end, if she straightens her life out, she might be mad at some of her friends right now because they're not there for her. But I think in the end, that tough love, if she realizes it, she'll thank some of her friends. But some of her friends, they don't know what else to do. It's a sad situation. But I wanted to tell everybody the whole story. And I know it doesn't sound like she did all that much, but this is what happens online when you see websites that only just reload a jail website, read a couple of things, and you don't know what led to this and this and this. And people were coming up with scenarios that they didn't have a clue. So that's the deal. That's the story. That's the story. But,
Raw now, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Raw because, we definitely want to end this soon. On a brighter note, if anybody that's interested, my favorite wrestler of all time, Terry Funk, has joined Twitter.
Oh, really?
At Terry Funk. I'm not going to lie. I got a little depressed. I got very sad. Not to the point of tears, but to see him with gray hair and to see him a little bit fragile. There's a saying, you never want your heroes or your favorites to ever be mortal. When everybody call it the immortal Hulk Hogan. Well, as he gets older, he's becoming mortal. Your favorite baseball players or celebrities, everybody ages and everybody becomes mortal. So to see him on Twitter was wonderful, but then to be reminded at how old he is now, it's sad. It really is for me.
Yeah, I just saw. I don't remember even following him. Has he been on for a while?
No, not too long. No, not too long at all.
Yeah, he's at. There's no blue check mark yet, but so people know it's Terry Funk at simply Terry Funk.
Yeah.
And there's a video of him there, and you can see him, as DT said. He looks pretty good, DT. Not too bad.
Yeah, he looks good, but still, it reminds me, of his age and everything. He's my favorite, always be my favorite. And I'm going to bring online, maybe I'll do it Friday or next week at the latest, that infamous letter that he wrote to me back in the late 90s when I first got engaged. That's my prize. Well, it's still my prized possession, but I have another prized possession, and I'm sorry you can't see this right now, but you could see it after. I teased this last week. I mentioned it on Friday. I talked about it on Patreon yesterday, and sure enough, the mail came, and I opened it up, and I was excited as a motherfucker. All right, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 80s, he wore it in the WWF, but he also wore it, when he wrestled down south, when Roddy Piper used to have the Superman T-shirt, and in the back it would say Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
You remember the red Superman shirt? It was with the gold.
Of course, yeah.
This story you don't know. A couple of months ago, because I wanted some Roddy Piper memorabilia. I wanted something from They Live, but I wanted something really cool. So I had talked to a friend of mine who really has hooked me up with collectibles over the years. He's like, I think I got something that he knows someone I'd be interested in. I said, okay, let me know. So as people could see in the back, Roddy Piper is one of my all-time favorites. So about 2 or 3 months ago, guy emails me. He's like, hey, he says, I got a guy that has, before he even went to the WWF, one of the Roddy Piper T-shirts with the Superman and the Roddy Piper in the back, the actual shirt. And I was like, what does he want for it? So he told me originally, I'm like, that's kind of steep and everything. So he's like, well, let me see what I could do. So, we went back and forth. And, I told him, like, come on, I'm going to put it on display and this and that. So the guy said to me about 3 weeks ago or so, he's like, look, guy's going to send me the shirt. As soon as I get it, I'll send it to you. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I didn't hear from him for about 2 weeks, and I'm saying to myself, he's not going to bring the shirt. He's not going to bring the shirt. I brought this up as an example yesterday on Patreon. You remember the scene in Goodfellas when Ray Liotta was in the shower, and he's listening to 10-10 Wins, and he hears the Lufthansa heist, and they sold like $3 or $4 million, and he realizes that they got away with it. And you remember he's in the shower and he's screaming, Jimmy!
Yeah, smacking the shower wall. Jimmy.
Yeah. If I was taking a shower and my fiance had said to me, I just got this, you got an envelope just now from California. Just picture a naked Don Tony in the shower, because the guy's name is James also. I would have been in my shower going, Jimmy! I would have been dancing up a storm naked. So for everybody out there, I'm going to show this for the first time. There is the original Roddy Piper shirt. And just to show everybody the back, that is the back, and that is the shirt. So nice. I wanted to put it on once, but I think I might actually just frame it and put it in the backdrop. But I just wanted to share, because I know a lot of people out there were definitely interested in this story to see if the guy would come through. So, yeah. So it really made my day. But,
cool. When you got married, he was playing Chainsaw Charlie, right?
No, he did Chainsaw Charlie, I think, in 1998.
What year did you get married?
99.
Oh, okay.
May of 99, and it was over, a couple of months later, and it was annulled by the fall of 99.
Oh, jeez. Without
getting into specifics, so. But, something also that came across the wires today with Sports Illustrated, and, we gotta give him a little bit of credit for this. WWE has the mask policy now, and even though if you pay attention closely, you'll see some of the NXT wrestlers around ringside This girl earlier is playing with her hair and retying it. One guy early in Raw was wearing it as a chin strap. You know, there was some people, I don't understand. I'm in my office for 5, 6 hours, 7 hours with the mask on. I don't even take it off. I mean, I do rub my nose a little bit, but these people on TV, like after 20 minutes, it's like so uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know what kind of prima donnas. I don't even care if it's 90 degrees in there. But we found out in the article that Kevin Owens, you know, because this is his family, because like 30, 40 people in WWE tested positive for COVID, Kevin Owens said, I'm leaving. You know, once this shit clears up, then I'll come back. And he was going to join Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns and a few others and stay on the sidelines. Vince McMahon asked Kevin Owens, what will it take for you to stay? And, you know, they talked about instituting the mask policy, but I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong. When I heard that WWE was going to fine people $500 and $1,000, I thought that was ridiculous. You know, I mean, just the idea, you know, of something that technically is mandatory. It's not mandatory, but to fine people $500 and $1,000, I mean, the fellow wrestlers, you see somebody walking around in the back without a mask, that should be wrestler's court, in my opinion. You know, but Kevin Owens was the one that said to Vince, you got to start fining people. Because he brought up that one time he used an expletive on SmackDown and he got fined for it and he never did it ever again. You know? So Kevin Owens apparently is the one that came up with the idea of fining the wrestlers if they're caught not wearing a mask. So I thought that was pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, that's, again, hopefully they don't have to issue too many of those.
Yeah. I just said pretty wonderful. Dun, 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 dun. Did you ever like Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff as a team?
Yeah, they were a good team. I like Paul Roma and Hercules as Power and Glory.
Power and Glory, okay.
Tag team guy. Yeah, Roma was a very underrated tag team guy.
All right, cool. I guess we could talk a little bit about Raw. So before we do that, I want to shout out our new and returning patrons, Joseph Triple J this time around, Joseph Glasgow, Jacob Kanati, and Justin Thortvet. Hopefully I didn't botch those names. Shout out to all of our patrons. Yesterday, Mish and I did 3 hours of breakfast soup. Tomorrow you're doing K&T, right?
Yeah, K&T Chronicles tomorrow night, 10:15. Me and Trez on our Discord network.
Yeah, so everybody check that out. So Monday Night Raw tonight. I'm not going to lie to you, Kev, I was a little disappointed of the MVP Lounge with Dolph Ziggler, not because of anybody that was out there, but there was a little reference that was brought up, and I immediately went on social media and I looked at the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings, the 50-somethings, and the 60-somethings. I didn't see anybody write it, even though I know somebody probably did.
Right.
When Dolph Ziggler was talking about how Drew McIntyre did not give him any credit for Drew McIntyre's success right now, did you hear a little movie reference Dolph Ziggler bring up?
I'm blanking on it right now, but you can tell me.
When he talked about, and chat room, you're going to disappoint me if nobody picked up on it either. When he was talking about Drew McIntyre, giving him zero credit, he went 0.0 Mr. Blutarski.
Oh, Animal House. Yeah. Okay.
I went over everybody. I heard that. I was like, oh, man. I just joked in that cameo-like video wishing that guy Doug a happy birthday. You know, talking about John Belushi, my favorite comedian, dying of a drug overdose. What was it, March 6, 1982? But, yeah, Dolph Ziggler. Shout out to Dolph Ziggler for the Blutarski name drop. But
0.0.
0.0.
That was his college grade average.
That movie Animal House could never, ever be made today.
Oh, hell no. But when Belushi was looking at the girl and he was moving the ladder over and just jumping on the ladder to move it over to the window, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what'd you think of the opener with MVP and Ziggler?
didn't think much of it because even though I'm warming up on MVP, I'm not a Ziggler fan at all. As soon as I see Ziggler, I switch over to News Network. But then Drew came out and Ziggler cut his promo. I mean, listen, it's a little, go-between feud. Drew's got to beat a couple more guys, so Ziggler's in the way. Just get rid of him quickly this Sunday, and then I won't be complaining much. I think it's going to be very decisive and very quick. I don't think that match is going to go on very long. I don't think it's going to be a Claymore like Heath Slater in 5 seconds, but Dolph Ziggler's not a threat to anybody. The only thing he's a threat to is putting people to sleep.
Any prediction what the stipulation's going to be?
I can't. I'm going to say that he's not going to allow. Matter of fact, I just kind of said it wrong because I'm thinking he's going to outlaw the Claymore. He can't use the Claymore kick. That's what I think stipulation's going to be.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I'm actually going to go a little bit different. I'm going to say that he has to wrestle maybe with one arm tied behind his back, because he could still do, his leg moves. You know what I mean? He could still do the Claymore, but because he keeps decking Ziggler, he decked Ziggler last week. He decked Ziggler again today, even though MVP tried to block it. My thinking is, and I'm probably wrong, but my thinking is he's got to tie one arm behind his back, and this way he could still do the Claymore, get the win. And he did it with his arm tied behind his back.
That could be it too, yeah. Something where, obviously it puts Drew in a compromising position. Either the outlaw move or they'll make him do something that, compromises his ability to have a good defense or something.
Yeah. Well, we will see. We will know. I mean, within a week. So we'll talk about the Extreme Rules card in a little bit. But next we had Charlie Caruso interviewing Angel Garza, Andrade, and Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega getting angry at Charlie as usual, and Andrade and Garza basically, you watch my back, I watch yours. Garza with the one rose, but then we find out we're gonna have an elimination match between those two and the Viking Raiders, and Eric basically, he tries to show a little, I don't want to say love to Charlie Caruso, but just, just like a guy, flattering, somebody. It doesn't always have to be the opposite sex. And then Angel Garza's got this look on his face like, what? Are you kidding? I'm the only one that's allowed to do that. Charlie Caruso was smitten with Eric.
Yeah.
But that really didn't amount to much because we had an elimination tag match. You had Eric eliminated in less than 3 minutes, and the whole match only lasted about 8 minutes. And, basically, what it came down to was, Eric got eliminated and Ivar eliminated Andrade, but the Angel Garza caught Ivar off the turnbuckles, hit him with a powerbomb, got the win. I don't know what this. It just feels like, I don't know. A lot of the stock in the Viking Raiders has dropped tremendously.
Yeah, it has. I mean, they did that thing with the Street Profits, who are non-existent right now.
Angelo Dawkins, he's a new dad, so his wife just gave birth.
Oh, is that what it is? I didn't even see that in the news. I didn't even know that.
His wife just gave birth, and he's been home. The thing is that, he has a newborn now, and, Bray Wyatt has a newborn. So, with COVID, they are petrified to have babies in the house and catch COVID. That's why you don't see Bray Wyatt doing much of anything if people really pay close attention. And I think the Street Profits, for a little while, you'll see them in spurts. But I think, for the most part, they're really, a lot of the parents. It's interesting. Look, I know what some people are saying, how could you have babies during COVID? Well, you don't get pregnant and give birth in 5 months. All of these pregnancies happened before COVID came around. That's what some people need to realize. But, the Viking Raiders, just to me, it just feels like, it almost feels like because they were so big and so powerful, that they were so dominant, that the only way you could kind of like bring them down to earth is make them goofy.
Yeah, it's true.
So next, you have the Iconics, kind of making fun of Ruby Riott, that both members of the Iconics beat her 2 weeks in a row. And tonight was going to be a handicap match, but Ruby Riott is not alone. And it was interesting because when Ruby Riott was like, "That's your cue," like it almost felt like, like Ruby Riott, like talking like a wise ass. Yeah. I know it wasn't meant that way, but when Bianca Belair came in, I was like, whoa, especially right after what Ruby Riott said, I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was going to be Liv or,
oh yeah,
but we had Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair, and if people haven't watched Main Event recently, Bianca Belair just beat what the fuck's her name? Not Peyton Royce. Oh, what's her partner's name again?
Billie Kay.
Billie Kay just beat her, on Main Event, and this match was only 3 minutes, but Ruby Riott's back in the win column.
Ruby Riott gets a win, and I thought it was good to see Bianca Belair. So it was a nice surprise. Again, when she said that's your cue, I thought for sure it was Liv Morgan. I knew it wasn't Sarah Logan, or it was going to be somebody uneventful, but it was good to see Bianca Belair. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And Billie Kay took a bad finish, though. You see the way Billie Kay took the finish?
Took it the same way in Main Event.
Oh, God.
She is just, like I said, nothing against her personally. Billie Kay, it's not good. I'm saying this politely. It's not good. She just, it looks like she's got cement in her boots. When she moves around, it looks like she's got cement in her boots, and it looks like that they inserted poles in her legs. Like she can't bend. It's almost like a bad version of the Wizard of Oz where the Tin Man has no oil, and he can't really move, and he's just like, she just looks stiffer than a ironing board. She's not flexible. She can move, and I'm not saying that she's like an invalid, but she in my opinion is the worst pro wrestler on any, whether WWE, AEW, or NXT. She is the worst wrestler on any of those rosters right now.
Oh yeah, Bill Apter doesn't even have to search. Worst wrestler of the year. Easily. Do they have worst wrestler of the year?
I don't think he does. No, I don't think Bill Apter or Bill Apter even involved with Pro Wrestling Illustrated?
No, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I just don't know who works there anymore because Stu Sachs even retired.
So they're very politically correct, and I don't blame them, but they're not going to do worst wrestler of the year. That's for podcasting assholes like us.
Yeah, that's true. No, but she's not coordinated. Billie Kay. Peyton Royce getting better, and she should. She's married to a guy who can work. He's never been over, but he can work. Sean Spears. He's a good wrestler. I never said he wasn't. So, and they train and work out. They put up Instagram stuff all the time of her training and working out with them. So she should be getting better. I don't know what Billie Kay's doing. On her off days, I don't know what she's doing. She's not practicing wrestling, and that's too bad. I guess she feels that she doesn't have to get better.
She might be and just can't get better.
That might catch up with her, though. Again, that can only get, you can talk. That's good. Talking is very good. Gimmick is very good, but you got to be able to work because you're going to be on that list eventually, that list that you don't want to be on.
Yeah. So next, R-Truth has a little backstage thing with Tozawa and the Ninjas. And then R-Truth, who was supposed to have a match with Randy Orton later on, decides he's going to have a match with Tozawa. They're about to have a match, but instead we hear Shayna Baszler's music hit. She comes out. Tozawa feeds the Ninjas to Shayna. She destroys them. And Tozawa, in predictable comedic fashion, he's not going to try Shayna Baszler. He's like, I'm out. And he leaves.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, R-Truth, when R-Truth was like, don't come back. I honestly thought Shayna Baszler was going to knock out R-Truth and win the 24/7 title.
Me too. That's what I thought too.
The reason why I thought that was because Randy Orton was facing R-Truth later on, and there ain't no way that R-Truth was going to be Randy Orton unless Big Show came out there and distracted Randy Orton, which I don't even think would have been. So if Randy Orton pins R-Truth and R-Truth's the 24/7 champion, why wouldn't Randy Orton, just take the title? So I thought, okay, you could remove the title from R-Truth earlier in the night by just having, Shayna Baszler knock him out or stretch him out. But he just left the ring and she let him leave the ring, and she gets on the mic and basically puts all the women on notice.
Yeah, it was good to see her back too. So I was invested at that point because I was into Bianca Belair. I like her a lot. I like Ruby a lot. And I'm a Shayna Baszler fan, so I was invested at this point. I wasn't like the opening. I was seeing guys I didn't want to see, and again, the girls were starting to make it watchable for me at that point. But we'll keep going here. But that was not bad. What do you think? At least Shayna Baszler is not relegated to catering, like like you say, DT. If you listen or you follow the websites and you go by their word as gospel, you would have thought Shayna Baszler was serving potato salad for the rest of her career.
Well,
but she's still she's too talented to not do something with her. I don't believe that they're going to relegate someone that good because Vince doesn't like her. I mean, who knows if he likes her or not? We don't know. But it was good to see her make a statement because that means she can maybe interfere in the match this weekend, right, TT? Good.
Which match?
The match with Asuka.
Asuka and Sasha?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's possible. I mean, I'll tell you this much. If Asuka retains now, I haven't thought about predictions yet. Plus, SmackDown hasn't happened. So, we may have more matches added. But if Asuka retains, again, I asked the question again 2 weeks in a row, what's up with Nia Jax? And, maybe Shayna Baszler just leapfrogged Nia Jax and is the next heel to go at it with Asuka, which I actually think would be a great idea because Asuka, with her NXT background, and Shayna Baszler, I think that might give us more of an NXT retro feel to it. So, then, look, Shayna Baszler is not extremely great on the mic, but she's a scary motherfucker. And scary motherfuckers should not be charismatic. You could be methodical like Jake Roberts and others, but, just being no-nonsense threat, that's probably the way to go with her. So I'm fine with it. I want to see what happens Sunday. My gut feeling says Asuka retains. Right after Asuka retains, Shayna Baszler chokes her out. Maybe.
I like it. I like it.
So, we had the trailer again for the WWE 2K Battlegrounds video game that comes out in September. I can't wait to get that. I have not been this excited for a wrestling game in about 10 years. I need a nice arcade game that looks easy to play, goofy shit. I just hope we could create a wrestler so I could feed a couple of podcasters to the alligator and have the goat kick him in the mouth and something like that. Nice. But and I say that jokingly, but I'm really looking forward to this game. I really am. Can't wait. So
what's the price on a game like that?
It depends. If it's going to be like a game that you play on your phone, it could be $15, $29. I don't think it's going to be all that much. It's going to be on, I think, pretty much, on the phones. How much, Chad, how much is the self games normally? It's $65, James. Wow. That's more like for PS4. Well, actually, he's probably right. For platforms like PlayStation and, things like that, yeah, I definitely expect it to be like $60 without a doubt. Yeah.
People in Discord saying it's around $60.
Yeah, but I the standard $39. Yeah, you know what? If the gameplay is smooth, we don't have crazy glitches. Like I said, it reminded me of kind of like NBA Jam-ish. So, a lot of people know what I mean by that. So, then we had Seth Rollins' promo, And, first Seth Rollins is talking to Murphy, and he's like, Murphy says, do you really think he meant, like, to rip somebody's eye out? And we know that there's the rumors of the computer graphics and everything like that. And Seth Rollins, very passionate promo. It makes me laugh that they're going to do eye for an eye at Extreme Rules, but Randy Orton and Big Show next week has to be unsanctioned. I would think ripping out somebody's eyeball should have been unsanctioned.
You would think, yeah. The eyeballs.
But I tell you, man, I'm going to still stick with what I've been saying for months. Ray doesn't have a contract right now. They're negotiating a new one. And, if Ray is going to be off TV for a little while, to me, it almost feels like Dominic has to turn on his father. And Seth's got to get the victory here. But, what do you do? I mean, I don't think I want to see Dominic rip an eyeball out. I don't want to see any eyeballs ripped out, to be honest with you. But even if no eyes get ripped out, it's like if Dominic turns, that's good enough for me.
You think it'll happen? I mean, you think so? That's really a deciding factor. Don't you think that why Ray... It's kind of, they don't do that with too many people, DT, right? Have them on pay-per-views.
I'll tell you the truth. I would have got a kick out of seeing Kane do a cameo in this because Kane would see no evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the funny thing is, if they did something, and I'm thinking ahead, but if they did something where an eyeball really gets ripped out, obviously it's not going to be gory, but I could just imagine Seth Rollins on Raw, or maybe if Dominic turns and joins Seth Rollins, I could picture somebody showing up on Raw with a fucking jar and formaldehyde in it and an eyeball inside the jar. I could just picture something dumb where somebody keeps coming out with a jar that has an eyeball in it. But whoever gets the eyeball taken out, they probably have to wear a patch for a while.
That would be a good one, too. I mean, again, I'm thinking that's probably what it's going to be. I can't imagine, how they're going to have the eye thing. You're right. It's got to be some sort of graphic. But they're really committed to it.
Has to be a graphic. I'm going to rip somebody's eye out.
Listen, DT, it's they got to get some ratings here, so someone's got to sacrifice for this company. So, yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it. I guess we'll see it on Sunday.
I don't have a marker. I was going to actually make my thumb look like an eye and just go like this and rip it out, make it look like it pulled it out. I don't know if the thumb I don't know if anybody's ever seen a moron do the thumb trick, and they're like this. They're like, hey, everybody, my grandfather used to do this to me when I was young, and I would fall for it. He'd be like this, okay. Look, I'm going to rip my thumb out.
Oh, Steve Martin did that in Parenthood. You ever seen that?
Something like that. It would just rip the thumb out. It just looked really stupid. So, but hey, I'm going into this with an open mind. Kevin Owens comes out. He offers the eye patch to Seth Rollins, and we think that this is going to lead to their match next. But we have Aleister Black coming out, and I love Aleister Black and Murphy going at it in the ring. What I don't like about it, people could go back and watch this, is I hate when wrestlers are having really bitter feuds and they run out and they start punching back and forth, throwing punches at each other. And the punches are sideways in their sides. I don't know if you know what I mean, but Aleister Black, when he ran out and started going at it with Murphy in the rampway, they're doing this to the sides of the bodies, and it just looks hokey. If I'm finally getting my hands on someone that I want revenge from, to just go sideways into the mid-set, it just looked real. I didn't fucking like it. But the match, ended up with a DQ anyway. The match was fun, but it ended in a DQ. And then it led to Kevin Owens with Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, and Dominic in his corner. He defeated Seth Rollins in about 16 minutes. Great match. Kevin Owens, verbal, animated. Arguably he's probably my favorite wrestler on Raw right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, who's your favorite wrestler on Raw right now?
Honestly, probably Asuka.
Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe if I go Asuka female and Kevin Owens male, Kevin Owens, he just, he tells a wonderful story. He's very old school with his stuff, and the match was a hell of a lot of fun. I know a lot of people online were very annoyed that Seth Rollins lost right before the pay-per-view. I'm still thinking that Seth Rollins is going to win this Sunday. So the match was fun. I had no issue with it whatsoever.
I can't picture. Rollins would look good with the eye patch. He's got that kind of look. So I can picture maybe they're doing something where he rocks the eye patch as a gimmick.
The problem is wrestling with an eye patch is not very easy. That's why I gave Mox a hell of a lot of credit. Because, I invite anybody out there. Obviously, you can't just go to your local store and pick up a patch. But, get like something dark and tape it, wrap it around your head a little bit so it's blocking your eye, or keep your eye closed. And don't open it even for a drop, and try to do stuff around the house, or try to go run a little bit, or do something. I mean, it's not as easy as it appears. So my thinking is, if Rey Mysterio is going to be outside the ring right now and not wrestling all that much, it probably makes sense for him to have the eye patch, because this way he doesn't have to be in the ring wrestling. It may lead to a Dominic versus Mysterio match down the line, but I think right now, the person who has to wear the eye patch should be someone who's not wrestling all that much. And for me, it just seems like Mysterio is the way to go.
I agree.
So, but I liked the match tonight with Kevin Owens and Seth. I think that was my favorite match of the night. I mean, the main event, which we'll talk about in a moment, was solid. But I didn't think there was any chance of any title change. But before that, Ric Flair, look, he talks with it. He's always had it, but now it's even worse. He talks with a huge lisp. Like when you hear him talk, it almost sounds like he's missing teeth. I don't know if anybody has ever had teeth knocked out and you try to talk and the words don't come out smoothly. But he cut, in my opinion, a great promo on Big Show. Big Show got legitimately choked up, sang a lot of praise for Big Show, his career. He talked about how he's been wrestling for 48 years and Big Show was about 20 of them, which was a little off, but, it was pretty close. Yeah. And he's basically telling Big Show, look, you're in Hollywood now. I don't know, I'm sure the Rock shot was a little ad lib. But he's basically saying, you're on Netflix now. You're a movie star. Just go back to Hollywood and enjoy yourself. You don't need to do this anymore. And it wasn't the smoothest Ric Flair promo, but Ric Flair could still talk. He still has all of his wits. I mean, how old is Ric Flair now?
87.
No.
I'm just kidding.
How old is Ric Flair, family? Because, look, I don't want to compare him to Joe Biden, even though for a little while I thought Joe Biden looked a lot like Ric Flair with the hair and everything.
Yeah, they do look a lot alike, actually.
But, you look at, older people and you look at somebody he's 72 or 73. 72 or 73. You chat, you go from 70 to 74. But he's around 72, 73. Biden is 78, I believe. And, Trump is in his 70s also. And look, I'm not trying to compare Biden to Flair or Trump, bro. I'm just saying, when you get to your 70s, it's hit or miss as far as, if you start, losing it here and there. And Ric Flair, everything he said was smooth. Like, he didn't have to think about it first. He just was throwing it out there and throwing it out there. And I know a lot of people don't like Ric Flair being on TV right now, but I said this a few times lately. You don't know how much time this guy has left. You know, as long as they're keeping things safe, you know, I don't mind a little Ric Flair on TV. I don't mind it at all. What do you think about it? You're not a fan of Ric Flair on TV right now?
No, I mean, I thought he was. I mean, how many takes was that tonight that he did Big Show in the back? We don't know. Was that like was that as free flowing as we think, or did it take a couple of takes? It was taped, obviously, right?
Yeah, but he did like 3 minutes, and there was no issues with it.
I thought he's again. I'm one of those people that kind of is like, isn't Ric Flair in the kind of should be in the Pursue Non Grata club of over 65 with pending health conditions and stuff with COVID, and I get it that he's getting tested. He's getting tested, but isn't it kind of dangerous for Flair to be there? I give him credit; he wants to work, no doubt. But and I guess they wouldn't put him in that kind of dangerous situation. But my thinking is more along the lines. Obviously, he plays into the Randy Orton thing from Evolution, so he plays a role there. He's doing okay. Tonight his promo was a lot better than the last couple of weeks that he got to talk.
Yeah, thank you everybody who posted it. He is 71 years old.
Okay, well.
He's 71. So, hey, like I said, I don't mind a little bit of Ric Flair. I think a lot of people out there today, I saw some people talking about it. They honestly thought that Ric Flair was going to get attacked by Randy Orton. Randy Orton, legend killer. Randy Orton had a kind of interesting look on his face when he was in the back right before his match with R-Truth, but basically what went down, R-Truth, if people listen closely, Ric Flair called R-Truth a legend, and R-Truth in his rap intro today used the word legend, and that was all designed because they brought back Randy Orton as the legend killer. So the match really wasn't much of anything. I mean, Ric Flair came out, cut a promo on R-Truth, gave him congratulatories for his career, which has been a long time. I mean, God bless him. But basically, Randy Orton, basically just beat him a couple of seconds. I mean, it was really nothing. But he was going to give the punt to R-Truth. But Big Show's music came out, and it ends up that this is going to lead to an unsanctioned match next week.
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, I'm not a Big Show fan at all. I watch the show at that point because I have to, not because I want to. I like what they're doing with Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the man right now on that show, no doubt about it. It's some of his best work he's done in years. I thought Randy Orton was so unmotivated for the longest time. And since Edge came back, he's been motivated. Now with Edge out, legit, he is the ultimate motivated guy. But Big Show, I get it. They got the legend killer thing. Who else do they got who's on the active roster, who's a legend, who could be accessible to them, who lives in Florida? They had to go to Big Show. It's, supply and demand. I got it. I get it. But I don't want to see this match at all. I'm not looking forward to it. But Randy Orton's doing some of the best work of his career. He's motivated again, thank God.
I'm surprised how many people out there want to see Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre.
That I do want to see. I think they match up size-wise pretty well. I mean, give or take an inch. Drew's a little taller. But Randy, they're both similar physiques, lean, great condition. Obviously, Randy's got a few years on Drew. But I think that's a good matchup, actually. I think they both work stiff. So I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't mind seeing that. I don't want to see the Big Show. I mean, I'll see Randy Orton against anybody at this point, except Big Show. But they're bringing back the legend killer gimmick. He's got to kill a couple of old school legends, and Big Show is number one on the list right now.
Would you want to see Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar?
That I wouldn't mind seeing again. Last time we saw that, Chris Jericho thought that he was getting beat up legit, pounded and opened up by Brock Lesnar in that match. How long ago was that match, by the way? Anybody remember the match where Brock was opened up Randy, hitting him with those punches on the ground?
Got to be about 5 years.
Was it? Anybody remember that? Anybody got the year for that match?
Yeah.
So that was the last time they met, 2016. Was it 2016?
I'd said about 5 years. It's 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Well, that was the last time they met. But Randy, again, wasn't very motivated back then. Randy was kind of, sleepwalking his way through his career at that point. And the Randy Orton of right now, yes, I'd love to see him against Brock Lesnar. Matter of fact, I'd put odds more on Randy Orton than Lesnar right now. So I don't know what Lesnar's up to. I don't know if he's, shooting guns off in his home in Canada, or he's training, or he's going to come back and look tremendous, or he's going to come back and look a lot heavier. I have no idea what Lesnar looks like. But the Randy Orton right now, I'd love to see him against a motivated Randy Orton as a heel against Lesnar. Yes, love to see it.
Speaking of matches, Anthony Diaz just threw this one out there. Recommending a favorite Terry Funk match, it really depends on what type of match you want to see. I don't know if any Terry Funk favorite matches stand out to you. If you want to see like really crazy, hardcore, whacked out shit, you could see him against Foley in Japan. You could see Born to Be Wired against Sabu in 1997 in ECW. My favorite Flair match is probably him and Flair, the I Quit match, I think from '89. That was in New York.
With Funk was managed by Gary Hart.
Yeah, Gary Hart was pissed after. When Terry Funk said, I quit, Gary Hart was not happy.
He was not happy. I was listening to like I said, I love the audio book. It's all on YouTube now, Gary Hart's My Life in Wrestling. I highly recommend it if you haven't heard it yet. But also, DT, and you've talked about the infamous one of the early 80s with him and Lawler in the Empty Arena.
That's fun, too. Yeah, Empty Arena was fun.
Yeah, you should check that one out. Funk vs. Lawler. What was it, DT, 83, 84 maybe?
No, I think that was 81.
82 maybe?
81 or 82.
Around the Andy Kaufman time.
Andy Kaufman was 82.
Okay, yeah, but Memphis was hot at that time, basically.
Yeah. But
Empty Arena with Terry Funk screaming, that was great.
Yeah. Also, if people want to, I've played this on the History Show 2 years in a row. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was for WCW, but it was one where they were showcasing the legends, and WCW was in Philadelphia, and I think it was 1994. And I said, this is the closest you would ever have Gordon Soley and I think Bobby Heenan commentating for ECW. And Terry Funk appeared, and you started hearing ECW chants, and Gordon Soley was on commentary, and I think Bobby Heenan was on commentary also. And, it got pretty, I don't want to say hardcore, but it definitely had some moments. And to hear the crowd chanting ECW and hearing Gordon Soley and I think Heenan do it, Slamboree, yes, that's right, old school and franchise, Slamboree Legends Reunion, I remember now. Anybody out there, go watch it. If you were an ECW fan and you want to just, for a second, live in a little fantasy world, go just watch Terry Funk's match from Slamboree 1994. Just listen to the crowd, listen to the commentary, and for a second, you kind of like get lost in thinking it's ECW. So,
that's correct.
It's. I think it's a fun match. But so getting back to Raw, we had MVP, who for some reason is still in possession with that new United States Championship, and showed off his title to Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, which I'm still wondering if they join up with MVP and Lashley. Lashley and MVP, I think, are gelling excellent on TV right now. Lana, not on TV. I already talked about it. Unfortunately, her parents got hit with COVID. Her mother was in ICU. Now Rusev, God bless him. Hope he battles it, and overcomes it quickly. He has COVID. So, Rusev is so Lana being off TV right now, I think is the right way to go. But, we had a match with Lashley versus Ricochet, and, Lashley wins with the full Nelson submission. A lot of people are very upset with the way that they are utilizing Ricochet and Cedric Alexander right now.
You mean like using them like Paul Roman and Jim Powers? They're like the new young style. They're like prelim guys when you think about it, DT. What they turned them into. Listen, they gave Ricochet a lot of chances. He can't talk. He's got no charisma. He's a good flippy guy, but good flippy guy is a dime a dozen. he's limited to what he can do because he's all flips, not a lot of substance. Cedric Alexander, I still believe they're going to turn him heel. You saw MVP planting the seeds, saying, "Did you get that thing I sent you, that package?" And then Ricochet's like, "What are you talking about? Don't you think the seeds are being planted for a Cedric heel turn, DT?"
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It would be interesting. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Cedric versus Ricochet feud.
That's what I think you're going to see, but I think they're going to go, honestly, I think Cedric is going to benefit from this situation where Ricochet might be the side guy and Cedric gets the push.
I think Cedric probably needs the transformation more than Ricochet does. Ricochet, even if people want to, I don't want to say criticize, but if people want to criticize his mic ability and everything else, he's still one of the most popular wrestlers in the WWE universe. So Cedric, yeah, you'd be surprised, man. Just do a social media search for Ricochet and just read. I mean, you get, a lot of, you get the fair share of criticism, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I think people would be extremely surprised how much love Ricochet has by the WWE universe. Plus they also did that WWE 24 thing or whatever recently with him that I honestly, it gave me a little bit more appreciation for Ricochet, but, when you have that special and it doesn't translate into a push on television, it kind of like defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I agree with you. But I think Cedric, they could have untapped something with him as a heel, and I like the Hurt Business. I like that name. I think it's a cool name, the Hurt Business. And they got to get more people there. Obviously, the duo is not going to do it. He's going to have to build a stable. I mean, even Selena has two people she manages. They can give him another 1, 2, maybe 3 guys. Give MVP like a whole crew and really make it out of something. I'm enjoying MVP. I don't want to see him in the ring, but I like him as a mouthpiece, as a manager in a suit and talking. He's good in that role. But they need another guy, and I think Cedric, and then maybe even get another guy from there. Maybe even give Shelton Benjamin a shot at a rebirth in the final stages of his career. Why not? I think a lot of people would like to see that, especially if you get, you get some dominance and get some titles on these guys, and I think you're in business.
Yeah.
The Hurt Business.
Yeah, the Hurt Business.
Love it.
Thank you, Darren. Lana's mother is out of ICU. I just want to bring it up.
I think they're going to be okay.
So next we got the main event. Kabuki Warriors challenging Bayley and Sasha Banks for the tag titles. Like I said, we had 10 to 15 minutes of just hype. Really laying it on with the video packages about Bayley and Sasha Banks. And yes, those packages are meant to annoy you as a fan. I got into this Friday for a minute, but I want to reiterate something from last week. Last week I said that I felt that it was overkill, that's too much Bayley and Sasha on WWE television. And, some people need to hear what I'm saying, and they also need to listen to what I'm saying, because there is a difference. I never criticized Sasha Banks or Bayley's in-ring ability. I never criticized their current characters. I actually have been saying repeatedly that I'm really enjoying Bayley's character. I think she is doing an excellent job as a heel. All I said was that it's too much. When you have too much of something, you don't want it as much as before. You want to look forward. You want to anticipate that when you got something being given to you over and over and over again, you sometimes get sick of it. I guarantee you, if any young fans out there where your mom still cooks for you, and she makes your favorite dinner, and you're loving it, and then the next day she makes you the same dinner, and you're like, holy shit, 2 days in a row, and you're enjoying it, I guarantee you, if she makes it 6, 7 days in a row, you'd be like, oh, no, give me something else, please. I'll even have Brussels sprouts, anything but that. They're not on the level of that, but you could see that WWE has decided that Bayley and Sasha Banks is the focal point. They're the ones that it almost feels like what they did with New Day a couple of years ago, how they were just featured all over the place. It feels that way with Bailey and Sasha Banks, and
It does, definitely.
you know, nothing against them. You know, I know everybody focuses on that 900,000 viewership rating that Sasha got in NXT. You know, last week was the second lowest Raw in the history of Raw. You know, so you keep at this pace, guess what? Sasha Banks will get that 900,000 rating again, and it'll be on Monday instead of Wednesday. So it'll never, I don't think it'll ever get below 1 million, but I enjoyed the main event. It just,
Me too.
you know, it just fell flat because, you know, Kairi Sane went for the elbow, and, you know, Bailey pulls her out of the ring, and as soon as she pulled her out of the ring, you pretty much realize, okay, no title change today. And, you know, I hate to piss people off, but I think the Kabuki Warriors are coming to an end.
You think so?
I think Shayna Baszler might choke out Kairi Sane, and that takes Kairi Sane off TV. I don't want that to happen. I'm a big Kairi Sane fan. I mean, I got her shirt. I have a bunch of the autographed photos, you know, because I thought, you know, people would enjoy them from time to time. She's uber talented, but I don't see her in the big picture.
Yeah, no. I don't know what her future is. She's going to resign and go back to Japan, but I'm enjoying. She's usually the girl who takes the pin or obviously taps out to the submission. She's the fall girl in the match almost all the time. But that's her gig. You know, Asuka's the bigger deal. I don't think that's ever going to change. It's the way it's been set up. It's probably the way it needs to be. The only thing I'd like to see Kairi as a heel go after Asuka in a little program. I don't know if they're going to do that.
Kairi Sane will never be the heel of this.
You don't think so?
She can't cut a U.S. promo, and she's not animated. Kairi Sane, after some of the injuries and the Nia Jax stuff, she's a sympathetic character. A lot of people are really like Kairi Sane. She doesn't come off as a character that you would want to be as a heel on TV. She comes off as, unfortunately, the one who is the victim of abuse. I only see if Shayna Baszler versus Asuka is next. I just can't help but to picture Shayna Baszler just choking out Kairi Sane and destroying her. And basically, you know, that sets up even more with Asuka. I hate to say that. I know it upsets some people out there. I just got this bad feeling about it, to be honest with you. Darren, I get it. What was Kabuki Warriors? There's a difference. She was the yin to the yang. You ever hear of yin yang? She fed off of Asuka. Asuka fed off of Kairi Sane. Asuka would do her thing and Kairi Sane would laugh. She's not meant to be a one-woman show as a heel. You know, it worked because they fed off of each other. The Iconics, Billie Kay will be nothing on her own. What is she going to do when she cuts a promo? When she is, you know, does her thing and she pauses, those pauses are for Billie Kay to, you know, to Peyton Royce to say a thing. That's what happened with Flawless. You know, with that team. You know, there's some teams out there that they bounce off of each other. So don't give me, well, that was with the Kabuki Warriors. Well, I'm talking about Kairi Sane as a heel by herself. I don't think it works. Kairi Sane is extremely beloved online. She's not everybody's favorite, but she is really, really appreciated online. That is not a character you would want to turn heel.
They can't turn Asuka. Asuka just became the top babyface by default, unless they bring in Tessa Blanchard as a babyface.
Late cool.
You know,
Late cool. Thank you, Chris. Late cool. So,
Late cool.
by the way, we're getting ready to give out that Kabuki Warrior. Look, photo's not worth $1,000 or anything like that, but every week, you know, we'll put a prize up here, you know, for everybody that's watching right now. So remember the magic word not yet, but when I say it, the first person that types it, that, you know, posts the actual magic word, and you got to spell it correctly. So if I were you, everybody out there who's going to, you know, play, cut and paste it from my Twitter. I don't think it gets any easier than that. And that kind of might be a little bit of a hint to everybody out there. So, but anyway, so that was Raw tonight. Not a bad show. I mean, you know, as far as a go home into Extreme Rules, I really don't know. You know, it did what it needed to do with Asuka and Sasha Banks, but it really didn't do much of anything as far as Bayley and Nikki Cross. I guess that's what we're going to get Friday. We'll see Sasha Banks and Bayley on Friday, and we may even see some type of a match in some capacity, and that's probably what we have looking forward to on Friday.
Yeah.
So, current card for Extreme Rules: McIntyre defending the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. Stipulation to be named at the pay-per-view: Asuka defending the Raw Women's title against Sasha Banks. Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's title against Nikki Cross. Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt in a Wyatt swamp fight, non-title. Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, eye for an eye. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. Those are the matches announced so far.
Oh, they're going to definitely add some matches. That's not enough, I don't think. Probably add about 2 or more matches, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I am curious what they're going to do if Andrade gets a spot. You know, like I said last week, it felt like this card was very SmackDown heavy. It feels very SmackDown heavy. I mean, yeah, we got eye for an eye and McIntyre as well, but for some reason it just feels very SmackDown heavy. And I know Asuka's defending too, but maybe because of the swamp match, I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, we got to... Oh, and the bar fight. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
The bar fight. I almost forgot the bar fight. So,
That's right.
yeah. Yeah. Did you check out Miz's new show on the USA Network, Cannonball, that game show?
Nah, I haven't checked. I'm not a big Miz fan at all. I'll eventually glimpse it, but I haven't checked it out yet.
You know what? I saw clips of it. I think Miz does a pretty damn good job with it. Believe it or not, Miz is very entertaining as a game show host. I mean,
I picture that could be his calling. He's not a good movie star, but I think he could probably be a good talk show or game show host.
Well, you know, we had teasers of that before with the Diva Search. Mm-hmm. You know, when he was hosting a lot of the early Diva Search. You know, so he was annoying at that time, but also charismatic as well. But I'm telling you, I think people out there should check it out. If you know, look, he's not in the ring and he's not competing. You know, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. There was an interview that Drew McIntyre did that I think everybody should go check out. And I thought it was really cool. I think we kind of knew this already, but it was really cool, Drew McIntyre saying it in his own words. But he is the one that really lobbied for WWE to bring Heath Slater to Raw last week, albeit for a one-shot deal. But it's really cool, and he brings up how Heath Slater was against coming back, that he got it out of his system, that he was ready to move on. And, you know, when they made, you know, they reached out to bring him back for the one-shot deal, it brought back all the emotions again. It's a good interview. I think people out there, I know a lot of people are, you know, feeling like Drew McIntyre is a Cena ripoff and this and that, but, you know, this interview really just shows you like how classy you're reminded how classy Drew McIntyre is. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good guy.
You know, also Triple H did an interview with Yahoo Sports, and they talked about the speaking out movement. And Triple H said, and I quote, "You don't ever want to see somebody in that situation. WWE has a zero-tolerance policy for any domestic abuse. We've stated that as far as this movement goes, individuals are responsible for their own actions. But we also have a zero-tolerance policy for domestic abuse, child abuse, and sexual assault. If someone is arrested for any of that, they are immediately suspended. If they are convicted, they are immediately terminated. There's no leeway or wiggle room. And he also says we have the ability to fine, suspend, or terminate for anything that has evidence, and I stress the word evidence, of illegal misconduct or what they deem to be enough evidence to have the right to terminate. I tell you, when I read those quotes, I kept flashing back to one person. Do you know who that person is?
Oh.
Enzo.
Oh, yeah.
I want someone that gets the opportunity to interview Enzo. Maybe he's answered this question already. I would want someone to read that exact quote, that what Triple H just said, to Enzo and say, I don't think, actually, the more I think about it, it's probably not something you want to put on an interview, but I'm curious how Enzo would react to that, because as far as I know, Enzo did not do anything that should have warranted suspension. I always felt that they fired Enzo because Enzo liked to party, liked to, have sex, and I don't think they wanted that type of person in the locker room, especially someone that a lot of people did not like. I just don't think Enzo did anything that was illegal or anything that warranted to be terminated. Suspended, maybe, until further investigation, but I'm still a little confused as far as the reason he was actually terminated. WWE doesn't like your lifestyle. If it's legal, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, because I see crazy things online that, somebody, curses someone out, in their personal life, and then their job finds out about it and fires them. Some people take some views and they get canned because of it.
Yeah, I think Enzo was they just looked for an out with him and they found it, and now it's over and done, and they feel probably they don't have to revisit that because he's not in wrestling anyway and he doesn't really love it. So they got away with kind of screwing Enzo, but now they have to go through proper protocol and follow suit for everybody the same way. Fair is fair, but Enzo got screwed, but they didn't like him.
God bless you. Yeah, God bless all of you out there that use the failed to inform excuse. Failed to inform what? Being accused of something that you didn't do?
Yeah,
I don't know.
They didn't like him.
But, one other thing Triple H said that I think is very important to mention, too, that, for any talent out there that have been abused, even if it was years before they went to WWE, they're there for their wrestlers. If someone needs a little bit of counseling, or someone has pain that has been bottled and just locked in forever, they have, the channels to get them some help as well. So it's not just about convicting the guilty, but it's also helping the victims. So, I think that's a very important aspect of it that a lot of people leave out.
Yeah, again, let's hope that your lips to God's ears, not tomorrow there'll be some new scandal. But it's been quiet the last couple of days. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah. So with that said, everybody, we are done. Just a quick birthday note, because I think people would get a kick out of it. Mm-hmm. On Friday, when I did the history show, I talked about Linda McMahon's mom passing away, and she was in her 90s. Yeah. And Joe Punches, I have not seen the Jeff Hardy documentary on the network yet. In fact, I have some editing to do tonight. I think I'm going to actually watch it tonight while I'm editing the show and putting it online. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it last night. It was good. It's only a half hour. It's good.
Yeah? I mean, what do they focus on? Just...
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this quick because I know we're pressed for time, but I saw a lot of people leading with Jeff Hardy wants out of WWE. He's leaving. He hates the angle. I didn't see any of that. I don't know what fucking documentary they watched. Matter of fact, he thanked WWE for forcing him to face his demons. He's doing what the company asked him to do. He's having a good time. He feels he needs redemption. He's getting it to prove to himself and to everybody else they've never addressed his issues before in the past. It's always been dirt sheets, and after he left the company, they're addressing him, the matter at hand with him in the company now, and he doesn't seem to have a problem with it. And he said, and I quote, "And the only place to do this is WWE, the place that I want to end my career with," end quote. So I don't know where these titles, and I know what you're going to say, DT, why do you even bother even listen to these people, saying, yeah, Jeff Hardy wants out, he's disgusted with the nowhere. This was filmed and completed a week ago. He didn't say anything of the kind, and he seemed very content and very, he needed to atone, and I think he's in on this whole thing. I think Jeff Hardy is in creative with this whole thing, facing his demons, and putting it out there for everybody. I think Jeff Hardy wanted to do this, and I don't think he's forced at all.
I said that the night they did the car angle. I said I think they went to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's comfortable enough, and I know a lot of you remember I said this. This was a PSA angle. Public service announcement. This was about battling addictions, resisting to temptation, and overcoming it. Said it the night they did the car angle. So, I think Jeff Hardy was comfortable enough. And honestly, it doesn't matter what I think, you think, or anybody else out there thinks. It's what Jeff Hardy thinks about it. And, maybe it gives him added pressure. But you know what? Some people want that added pressure. They want that test.
He was stressing that. He was talking about how the night after he got out of jail, the kids and his wife wouldn't let him back in the house. They told him go away.
Yeah.
And he said, I was discussing. I need to show everyone. I not sweep this under the rug. Not let the dirt sheets get this. Face this head on in front of everybody and take responsibility. So I think that's what he's doing. I don't know why everyone's taking it as look what they're doing.
I ignored him.
Out.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So let him go join Matt and be a world champion. Like, stop already. Stop making up fucking stories. Watch the documentary, decide for yourself. But he did say he's happy in WWE, wants to end his career in WWE. You'll hear it for yourself. I don't need to make up stuff.
All right. Everyone out there, for those that want this, first person that actually posts the magic word exactly spelled correctly gets their signed picture of the Kabuki Warriors. Let's see who actually gets it right. Okay, we got it. Anthony Diaz won it. I think what we're going to do maybe next week, in fact, I'm going to work on it, but I'm going to bring this baby out, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add prizes to each one, and then we'll spin it. And then whatever it lands on, and maybe we'll put like one really cool prize on there. So, So Anthony Diaz, I know you have ways of getting in touch with me, and we'll do it next week as well. And trust me, I tell you, every week now, there's going to be prizes. I'll see maybe Wednesday also. I have to go through all my stuff. But so congrats to Anthony Diaz, and he gets the signed Kabuki Warriors photo. Right before we get out of here, for those Tuesday night that want to check it out, you got Impact Wrestling that's going to lead to Slammiversary this Saturday. AEW Dark, you have Brian Cage versus Brian Pillman for the FTW Championship. I don't like the way they've used Brian Pillman Jr. so far, but it is what it is. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon. Marco Stunt versus Michael Nakazawa. That match I'm actually looking forward to. Brandy Rhodes and Ali versus Diamante and Rache Chanel. Ricky Starks versus Robert Anthony. Luther and Serpentico versus Pineapple Pete and Brady Pierce. And the Dark Order versus Sean Dean, Will Hobbs, and Joe Alonzo. And props to AEW. I said this a couple of weeks ago. They needed to make the dark matches look a little bit more competitive in the name departments, and I think they have actually done that. Even though we probably could all predict all the winners of all the matches, still on paper, this feels more of like a Velocity or a Sunday Night Heat or so. Not to that level yet, but I can't complain with that match listing. Okay. So, Kev, I will catch you tomorrow for KNT Chronicles.
Yeah, just let people know, because they know me and you talk about nostalgia and pop culture and stuff. rest in peace to actress Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, who passed away out of the blue. Really, no one knew she even had cancer. 57 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of hers, and a lot of 80s movies. Matter of fact, anybody wants to hear about Kelly Preston and how I go back with her in a way back to the 80s, I'll talk about it tomorrow night on KNT Chronicles. But yeah, that was a shame. Only 57, and also Elvis's grandson, who Lisa Marie Presley's son, committed suicide, 27 years old. So a lot of 2020, the shit keeps piling on.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that tomorrow on KNT. Anybody wants to sign up Patreon/Don Tony. Sign up now, sign up tomorrow, and join us live on the chat tomorrow night at 10:15, and we'll talk all about it.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, DT. Everyone, YouTube, Discord, peace.
Take it easy. All right, everyone. About to hit the 2-hour mark, and I know I said last week 60 to 90 minutes tops. Starting next week, that is the case. I have to format this a little bit more. Obviously, under the circumstances with the Tammy arrest, we spent a little bit too much time on it. But starting next week, 60 to 75 or 60 to 90 minutes, because we're already 1:05 a.m. So everyone, much love. Hit the like button before you exit. Keep spreading the word. I am Don Tony. Thank you for the support as always. I'll catch you all Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Maybe we'll give out some more goodies. In fact, we will. I'll see what I got. I'll try to find something AEW related. Maybe some Jericho and Moxley memorabilia. Or, Brody Lee too. So, all right, everyone. Oh, and you know what? We can't leave NXT out also. I'll see what we got. I'll let you know. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.